So in today's video, we're going to be looking at some really good new products from Nash. I promise that didn't sound as cheesy in my head. Let's get into it. So yes, I've got some new reels from Nash to show you today, and these are the dwarf reels. There's a few different options available, but being the dwarf range, you know that they're a little bit more budget friendly. So these have all been designed obviously to go in conjunction with the dwarf rods. Times are pretty hard at the moment. If you're looking to change your reels, but most of them out on the market are pretty expensive, and these are definitely worth considering. I will tell you the prices at the end, but firstly, let's see what these reels are all about. So as you can see, I've got 3 different reels with me. There's 2 free spool versions. This is a 6000, and there's a slightly smaller one, which is a 4000. And there's also a compact big pit version as well, which is this one here. So the 6000 and the big pit share very similar characteristics, obviously apart from one being free spool, one being front drag. But both of them hold the same line capacity. They can both hold up to 400 meters of 0.33mm line. So that's a massive amount of line. You might not need that much, but it's nice to have that option if you are using these. If you're going abroad, if you're fishing bigger lakes and you're actually boating out, even though you're using smaller rods and reels, it's nice to have that option of that amount of line. The 4000 holds obviously a slightly smaller capacity. That's about 300 meters of 0.33mm. So it's still ample line. And if you're looking for a slightly lighter setup, then obviously the 4000 is going to be the one to go for. So alongside obviously comparable spool size, comparable retrieval rate, all of the spools have got line-friendly line clips on them, which is obviously helpful. You've got aluminium spools on all of them, so they're pretty hard wearing. And then the actual main body, I guess, is made from a hard wearing plastic. I mean, it feels pretty tough, it feels pretty solid. It doesn't feel hollow or anything like that. It feels like a nice bit of kit, especially when we come on to the price later, when you consider how much these actually cost. They've all got nice one-touch folding handles as well. So it makes it nice and easy for packing away. You simply slot in the little stem of the handle, and then it just folds in place. And then you've got little wooden handle knobs as well in a nice kind of dark black finish. So overall, the actual looks of them, they look really good. There's a nice design. You've got a bit of branding throughout them. You've got the Nash logo just down the bottom here, and then dwarf on the spool, and then Nash just underneath it. So it's not in your face, but it's nice to have a little bit of branding on there, so they're not just completely matte black. The other nice thing they all share is the fast drag, so we'll come on to that in a little bit. So, I mean, that's a nice overview of them. I don't think there's much more to say on them. So let's actually have a look at them in practice. Let's do a little bit of casting and play around with the drag and so on. Okay, so first up, we've got the compact big pit. And to be honest, I think this is probably my favorite out of the 3. I've been using front drag reels for quite some time now, and they're just nice and simple. And I think I prefer the look of them because you haven't got all the kind of bulkiness at the back of them. That's not saying the other free spools are bulky, but free spools in general, obviously they've got all the extra mechanisms in there to allow almost like having 2 types of drag. So this is a lot more simplified. You've just got the one front drag, and it's the nice fast drag. So let's ping this out. I've only got a little 2-ounce lead on, and these are actually on my £3 scopes. So they're 9-foot scopes, so that it size-wise it pairs really nicely on this, just like it would do if you guys are using dwarfs, or if you've got scopes yourself. Then, like I say, this size seems to pair really nicely with the 9-foot, and again, it will pair nicely with the 10-foot as well. So let's ping this out. So it does fly out quite nicely actually. So let's see how that big retrieval rate is. That was probably about 50 yards at a guess. So yeah, it does retrieve nice and fast. Like I say, it's 103 centimeters of line per turn of the handle. So that is quite a quick retrieval on a reel of this sort of size. The line there is really good as well, which is why it just pinged out so smoothly. And let's do it once more, and then we'll have a little look at the drag as well. So it's fast drag. Wow, that's really fast. So let's go completely locked up. So it's a quarter turn from being completely locked up to quite loose on the spool. So when that comes obviously to setting your rods, you want to literally just give it a little couple of notches, and then that's loose enough. And then yeah, when it comes to actually having a bite, it's literally barely even a quarter of a turn, and then you're back to a tight spool, tight clutch. So that's quite impressive actually. They weren't lying when they said fast drag, were they? So yeah, that is the Big Pit Compact. So let's have a little look at the free spool as well. I'll put the 6000 on because, like I say, that's a very similar reel to what this is, but it's just a free spool version. In terms of the actual kind of cranking it in and the spool capacity and everything like that, they are very similar reels. So that's going to be the next one to pair up. But if we're just talking about the kind of balance of the rod, it feels nice. I'm used to slightly bigger reels on these, and to have a slightly smaller, slightly more compact reel, it actually works quite nicely on them. So yeah, let's go and grab the free spool and we'll have a look at that as well. Okay, so now I've got the 6000 free spool on, and like I say, it should have a very similar feel to it really, aside from obviously the clutch at the back. So let's just ping this one out, see how that feels. Yeah, it feels very similar in terms of casting, and that's obviously because it's got a very similar kind of line lay to the compact. Bringing it in, it feels every bit as quick, which it should do, because they do obviously bring in the same amount of line per turn of the handle. So let's ping it out again and have a look at the clutch. Now obviously when it comes to the clutch, it's a little bit different on these. So the front might actually act a bit differently because you've got the free spool at the back, which is simply just a click to engage that. The front drag might be a little bit more stepped because obviously it's purely for just playing fish. So that's fully tight. Yeah, so it's more like half a turn on this one to go from tight to giving a bit of line, which is better in a way, because obviously when it comes to playing fish, you want to make those micro adjustments. If you've got a lunge, then you don't want to be going really loose really quickly. So it works really nicely in that way. And like I say, you've got the free spool option. So when you actually, when you've cast out, when you're setting your rod, simply click it and it's adjustable through this back little knob here. So you can have it quite tight, or obviously you can have it really loose. So you can get that all set before your session. Obviously you can tailor it to your session if you're wanting to give off less line or something like that when you have a bite. But the nice thing about it as well, so say you do get a bite, so it's taking line, simply a case of picking up and reeling in, and then that closes off the free spool and then goes straight to how your front clutch is set. So you don't have to worry about clicking it yourself or anything like that. It's simply a case of picking the rod up and reeling in a little bit. Like I say, the line lay is very similar, and the overall feel of the reel is very similar. Feels the same sort of weight as well. It balances nicely again on these 9 foots. We will try the 4000. I know it's going to be a very similar reel to what this is, just smaller, but it'll be interesting to try it on a 9 foot. Because I came into this video thinking that it might be a little bit small for them rods, and I thought it might be more suited to the 6 foot dwarfs. But I think based on having a little play with it so far, I think it will be more than enough for the 9s as well. So let's go and swap that over and just see if we notice a difference. Obviously by having the lower retrieval rate, it might seem like it takes that a bit longer to bring it in and that sort of thing. So I'll go and grab that one and then we'll give that a quick test as well. Right, reel number 3. So this is obviously the 4000, and straight away obviously it feels smaller, but it still seems to fit quite nicely on this 9 footer. I mean, it lends itself to more of a stalking setup now rather than your kind of main setup, but that's not to say you can't use it as a main reel. It's on the smaller venues, a smaller reel is obviously going to be a bit more beneficial, but let's give this a couple of casts as well and get a feel for this one. yeah, I mean, it still casts every bit as nicely as the two bigger brothers. They're so smooth. Back when I started fishing, you couldn't get a reel like this for what they cost. These are insanely good for that sort of money, which I will tell you in a minute, I promise. Yeah, retrieval rate, I guess it's a little bit slower. It's not massively noticeable though, so I wouldn't buy one over the other purely based on the retrieval rate. Let's have a little look at the drags as well. So again, this is completely locked up, and then you go halfway and then it starts giving you a bit of line. So very similar again to the 6000, and then you've got the free spool on the back, which one turn of the handle then locks that in place. So yeah, it basically, obviously, as we'd expect, it is a smaller version of the 6000. Feels very similar in all aspects, just a bit smaller. So I'm sure each of these reels can serve a different purpose. So you've just got to see what reel really does kind of benefit your fishing the most. Like I say, this would be an ideal little stalking setup, whether you had this on the 9 foot or even on the 6 foot, it would be the right sort of size for a little 6 foot stalking setup. They're all very good for a similar purpose. Like I say, it just depends what you really want them for. So I think you probably agree that you get quite a bit of reel for your money when it comes to these dwarf reels. Well, I mean, you can't agree with that because I haven't told you how much they are. So let's start with the compact. You can get the Big Pit compact for around $59.99. Moving down to the 6000 free spool, you can get that for $54.99. And then the 4000 free spool you can get for $49.99. So going back to my previous statement, I think you probably agree you're getting quite a bit of reel for your money here. All of these reels you can get spare spools for as well, and you can get those for about a tenner. So if you're the sort of person that likes to have a mono spool and a fluorocarbon spool or something like that, then for an extra tenner, it's probably well worth doing. But overall, yeah, like I say, these are a lot of reel for the money. I came into this video before seeing these reels thinking 4000 is probably going to be a bit small. But to be honest, I'd say if you've got either 6 or 9 foot dwarfs, the 4000 is absolutely ideal. The 6000 would still be fine. I'd say the 6 is probably a little bit big if it comes to a 6 foot dwarf. The 4000 really would suit that a lot better. But yeah, if you've got 9 or 10 foot dwarfs, then the 6000 or the compact Big Pit would be absolutely fine. And yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a little stalking setup or something like that, then that's where the 4000 will come into its own. They've all got quite a few different purposes, so it's really what fits your needs, what fits the sort of fishing that you do, as to what one you go for. But like I say, overall, really good reels for the money. There's not many reels on the market that are around that £50 mark that do what you need them to do, that are solidly built, that hold the line that these do, that have got the fast drag. Overall, they're a pretty good bet. So thanks for watching this video. If you do want more information, then head over to the Nash Tackle website, and somewhere around me there's going to be boxes coming up with other various videos that we've done in the past and done in the future, which is then going to be in the past by the time you're watching this. It works somehow. So yeah, if you want to see more content, just click one of these boxes wherever they are.